Guest is a staff writer at The New Yorker who turned his reporting skills onto his own family, looking into the role his grandfather played during World War II. After the war ended, author Burkhard Bilger's German parents moved to Oklahoma to start a new life. But it turns out they were escaping a dark past, leaving behind Burkhard's maternal grandfather, a man he later would learn was a convicted Nazi party chief. He writes about it in the new book titled Fatherland, a memoir of war, conscience, and family secrets. Burkhard, it's great to have you here. This is quite a project, 8 years in the making, as you just told us. Where did this begin for you? When did you start to hear about your grandfather and start to have questions about him?
Well, my mom was a historian. She did her dissertation on Vichy France and had studied that whole era. And we knew that my grandfather, by the time I was in high school, I knew that he had been a party member, and I knew he'd been posted to Alsace, France. But my mother never went deeper into that. And in fact, in all her research in World War II, she kind of avoided that topic. And then about 15, 20 years ago, I was visiting her in Madison, Wisconsin, where they'd moved, and she got a packet full of letters from my aunt, and my aunt had been cleaning out my grandfather's old attic where he had lived and had found this box of letters. And when we opened them up together, they were these really touching documents to me. They were little handwritten, scrawled notes. There were 17 of them, and they were testimonials from the villagers in France where my grandfather had been the Nazi party chief. And they were written in 1946 when France was in the middle of what they called the savage purification, when, everybody's turning against each other in these villages and accusing each other of being collaborators and being Nazi sympathizers. 300,000 trials, 9,000 summary executions. And in the midst of that moment, when to claim any kind of Nazi sympathy, these villagers had written letters to the French military government saying, yeah, this is a Nazi. He was in our village, and I'm a French patriot, but he did good things in our village. He actually protected our village. And suddenly this, what had been a shameful story in my family's life, a story my mother talked about but kind of avoided in research because she was afraid of what she might find, suddenly it became this interesting thing, like how did this man become a Nazi? And then how suddenly did he get to the point in the midst of the war where people were willing to vouch for him?
And you find this contradiction that you write about so much in the book, that yes, he was a Nazi party chief. That's true. But as you just kind of laid out, the term that some people use is a reasonable Nazi. If you'll forgive my use of that term, it's hard to even grapple with that concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you use that term to say that he did try to protect some of the people in France.
He did. And the interesting thing for me is that it's not as if he was, we tend to think of Nazis as, or Germans of that era as Schindlers or kind of caricature Nazis, and there's no in between. And here's a man who really was a fervent Nazi. He came out of, early on, he had grown up in the Black Forest and kind of in a feudal economy and seen crushing poverty. His father had committed suicide because he'd gambled away the farm. My grandfather got onto World War II and lost an eye and had wanted to be a priest and then lost all his faith. And then come out of that into Germany in the 1920s, crushing depression, war reparations, and then hyperinflation, no way to get a job with his broken body. He kind of seized onto Nazism as a substitute religion in a lot of ways.
So I'm really curious as to the reaction when you started into this project, reaction from others, who have family from Germany who might have said, like, I have similar experiences in my background, my family's past, but also your own family as you really started to dive into this. What was that like?
My family wanted to know this story. I think they shared my mom's curiosity. We had lived with this kind of repressed narrative for so long, and we just wanted to know the information. I think that's happening all over Germany now, people going into the archives, having old letters translated and digested. In America, the same thing. People have gotten to the point where they say, if my great-great-grandfather was a slave owner, I want to know about it and come to terms with it and not just put it away in the past.
It certainly is a story that so many people will be able to relate to in their contradictions in their own families and their own past. The new book is titled Fatherland, a memoir of war, conscience, and family secrets. Burkhard Bilger, thanks so much for being here. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right